when you fail to set boundaries, you will damage your relationships, your personal life will suffer, and your business won't thrive, and it may not even survive. There are seasons where you're likely will have to grind, but that cannot be your norm.
Hey there, you're listening to Priority Pursuit Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping small business owners and leaders define, maintain, and pursue both their personal and business priorities so they can build lives and businesses they love.
And we're your hosts, Kelly Rice and Victoria Rayburn. And today, I actually have a few questions for you. So, 1, do your clients seem to expect responses from you 24/7? 2, do they get frustrated when you don't answer them outside of your office hours? And then 3, do you feel like you have zero free time to spend with your loved ones or time to do focused work because you're constantly rearranging your schedule around clients' needs, like if they're connecting with you after hours or what's most convenient for them? If so, today's episode of Priority Pursuit is the one that you want to listen to and pay attention to, I promise.
Yes. Today we are breaking down not just how to set boundaries in your business, but also how to communicate your boundaries to your clients in a way that's firm, but still serves your customers well, and also just commands respect for your boundaries. So in fact, if you put the tactics we discussed today into practice, you likely won't ever have to tell your clients no to a request or leave them feeling disappointed again, because they'll know what your boundaries are and they will actually respect them. So they won't ask you strange questions. Plus, you'll be able to unplug and get some of your sanity back.
Yeah. And V, for the record, I like that you said some sanity because, well, as we both know, not all small business owners, I don't think that we're ever entirely sane at all.
Yeah, that's, that one's more than fair. But before we go down that rabbit hole or reveal how off our rockers we are, let's talk about boundaries. Okay, so first things first, if you want your clients to respect your boundaries, you have to decide what your boundaries are. Now, you can just blindly come up with boundaries or set typical boundaries like having a 9-to-5 workday. But in my experience, you are going to be so much more likely to stick to your boundaries if the boundaries you set are a result of your personal and business priorities. Now, this is the Priority Pursuit Podcast, in case you forgot what you're listening to. So, we have done countless episodes and had so many conversations about how to set and live according to your priorities. If you'd like to hear more about this, we recommend going all the way back and listening to episodes 1, 120, and 125, which you can find in the show notes or wherever you listen to podcasts. However, to put this plain and simple, if you want to build a life and business that you love, you have to know, 1, what is most important to you in your personal life, and 2, what actions move the needle in your business. In other words, where do you and your team, if you have one, need to put your time, energy, and resources to reach your business goals? Chances are you're doing a lot of things that you probably don't need to be doing. So you need to know what truly does matter. Again, you cannot build a life and business you love without taking the time to determine your priorities. So please go back and listen to the episodes mentioned in the show notes. But once you have a clear list of your priorities, you can easily determine just what your boundaries should look like.
Really, in case it's helpful for those, because I'm kind of an example story learner. Victoria, do you mind if I take a few minutes and just give a few examples?
Oh, yes, I would love that.
Okay. So one of the boundaries that we actually have at Tree Frog is that we're closed on Fridays. And we've had this 4-day work week for, 7 or 8 years at this point. And it started, over 10 years ago that we would have summer hours, right? Do you remember that? Where during certain months, we would have these 4-day work weeks. And then the staff came and said, hey, we really like these because we feel like we're more productive and we would really love to have this 3-day weekend. And we're like, okay, well, so then we set this up as a boundary for a work week because caring for our team's well-being it's one of our top priorities. And if it was important enough for them to ask for it, it was important enough for us to be, to listen to them. So being closed on Fridays for us means that our team only works and responds to client messages Monday through Thursday. So, but I have to be honest, and I often work outside of those hours. I try not to take any client meetings on Fridays, but if you're like me and you're really busy and you have multiple kids in sports and you kind of have to take off during the week here and there to get them to practices and games and all of those types of things, I personally work a little bit on Fridays, at least to catch up and do some things like that. But I 100% don't expect the rest of the team to do that. And I try not to communicate with clients on Fridays as well. It's more of the, my catch up day, if you will, right? I think the staff really enjoys that from us, from a production perspective. I think we are just as productive or maybe even more in those 4 days than having the 5-day work week. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And I would say too, maybe we should just do an episode at some point about the benefits of 4-day work week. We'll add that to the list. But it is really nice, like Kelly said, you said, you a lot of times you do work on Fridays just so you can get to kids' games and stuff. But it is really nice too, like as an added employee benefit, that if a team member does have something going on in the week, let's say like a friend is in from out of town, like of course they can just flex their time and they'll work a half day on Friday so they can grab lunch with that friend or do whatever else. But anyway, we're talking about boundaries.
Yes.
I'm going to give another example.
Yes. Yeah. Another boundary we set, which is one that I really, really like. And to be honest, it was a little bit hard to get moving and communicate to our clients, but we figured it out, is that we only allow clients to communicate via Basecamp, which is our client communication system. So clearly we take meetings and phone calls and all of these types of things, but we don't allow our clients to email any of our team members directly or DM us in social media or text us or anything like that. And this is to be sure that all of our client communication is in one place, so nothing falls through the cracks, which honestly has happened in the past, which is why we've had to set this boundary to be able to serve our clients better. I mean, if anybody's like me, if I have 15 clients emailing me everything that they need, there's a chance that I'm missing an email, something goes to spam, something like that. So we've set this boundary that says, hey, we really need you to participate in utilizing Basecamp. Here's the reason and why, because it serves our clients well and it makes sure everyone on our team knows exactly what's going on. And then after we do have like a meeting or a phone call or something like that, we always send a client an update message or a summary message through Basecamp so that one, our entire team knows what's going on. And then so does the client. So that's, I think, one of the big ones that we really, really work hard to try to stick to. And then more recently, one of the boundaries that I personally set was blocking days to work on specific tasks. And I think, Victoria, you do this as well. But like, for example, on Wednesdays, I work on my personal brand stuff. And if I don't do that, then I'll just keep pushing it off. I mean, let's just be clear. If I don't have that set time that I'm going to do it, something else is going to come in that I want to do more than that. So do that. And then on Thursdays, I take discovery calls. And then Victoria and I both have predetermined days that we meet with our strategic marketing coaching students. And the reason for that is that we can focus and we know exactly what we're doing instead of having to jump from task to task and change your brain function really quickly and all of that. So those are just a few examples from my work life. Victoria, I know in your past life as a wedding photographer, you set some pretty strict boundaries. Would you want to share those?
Yes. Yeah. So, man, these are all for the record set because wow, was I burnt out at one point. So as a wedding photographer, I did things like I capped the number of weddings I took at 20 per year. I only took one session per week if I had a wedding that weekend, and then 2 if I didn't have a wedding. I reserved Fridays and Saturdays specifically for weddings, meaning I shot engagement and other sessions during the week, so Monday through Thursday. And then if I didn't have a wedding that weekend, that meant I wasn't working. So I didn't take shoots or weddings on Sundays, holidays, during major holiday weekends. I scheduled at least one weekend off per month, and I only answered emails during regular business hours. Oh, yeah. And I also instructed all my couples that all their wedding details needed to be communicated via email so nothing got lost in texts or DMs, because brides really love texting you about their wedding, but I will absolutely lose something if it doesn't go with the right place.
I do. I love that you set those boundaries because I remember how ragged you were running around and just worn out when you were trying to please everybody all the time and meet all of their schedules and do everything when you first started your business.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really hard to set those boundaries when you love what you do, but eventually they have to be set. And, I'd love to tell you I'm a wise woman, but like I said, every one of those boundaries was set after hitting burnout or learning a lesson the hard way. But anyway, there are not any right or wrong boundaries. So maybe you need to set working hours. Maybe you need to cap how much work you take, or maybe you need to like predetermine and schedule time off well in advance. But again, as you determine your boundaries, we just want to encourage you to look at your personal and business priorities and set boundaries that protect those priorities. So, maybe working a 9 to 5, maybe that just doesn't make sense for you. Maybe that's not beneficial for your family. Maybe you have a spouse or a partner who works weird hours. And if you're working 9 to 5, that means you miss their entire existence. But, when your boundaries are in alignment with what's most important to you, you're going to be so much more likely to respect your boundaries, and you're going to be able to simply enjoy your life and your work more.
Right. And I just want to add really quick that if you don't set boundaries, your business will run you, period, exclamation point, right? Like, take it from someone who has had to sit on the bleachers with her laptop during I don't know how many baseball games, right? Without boundaries, you will miss out on time with your family and friends. You'll just never come up for air, and really you'll just burn yourself out again and again and again. And then you get to the point that you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? Because you lose sight of it, because now it becomes a job and a chore and not a passion. So, and then on top of that, really without boundaries, you can't serve your clients well. I mean, if you take on too much work, you'll miss deadlines. You won't have time to underpromise and overdeliver, which we talk about a lot, and you will ultimately fail to serve your clients well, or really just in a way that will make them want to come back or refer you to other people. Because the whole goal isn't just to get this done and then move on. You want to build those relationships, especially as a small business, right? So I don't want to be that downer, but I do want you to take this seriously, because when you fail to set boundaries, you will damage your relationships, your personal life will suffer, and your business won't thrive, and it may not even survive. Yeah. There are seasons where you're likely will have to grind, but that cannot be your norm. We want to tell you to take our advice before it happens to you. Or if you're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, you're speaking about my life, right? Like, set some clear boundaries. It'll be good for you, and it'll be good for your clients as well.
What would you do with an extra 45 minutes every workday? That would save you 16 hours a month, or roughly 8 days a year. And over the course of your career, we're talking about over 1 year of your life saved. All that time back. Well, many independent business owners spend far more than 45 minutes a day on administrative tasks. And with HoneyBook, you can get that time back and then some. HoneyBook lets you easily manage projects, contracts, invoices, scheduling, and client communication, saving you time and allowing you to better serve your clients. For a discount on your first year of HoneyBook, visit honeybook.com and subscribe with the code PriorityPursuit. 45 minutes a day adds up quickly. Use it to focus on what matters most.
Do you ever get frustrated when you have to wait weeks for your web designer to make a simple change to your website? Is your current website so slow that it's hurting your SEO? Or do you wish designing a web page was easier? If so, you have to try Showit. It's a drag and drop website platform that provides complete creative freedom over the layout and design of your website. So whether you're looking to DIY your site with a Showit template or work with a professional designer, Showit is the perfect web builder for small businesses. As an agency, we build many of our clients' websites with Showit because it gives our designers the freedom to build strategic, visually on-brand websites rather than being forced to use a specific layout like you are with other website builders. And it comes with robust servers, meaning Showit websites are exceptionally fast, even if you're a photographer with lots of images on your site. And it's easy for our clients to use. While we are always happy to make website changes, things can change fast in small businesses. And sometimes our clients need to be able to easily update a thing or two on their own websites. So we love Showit so much that we want to give you an opportunity to try our favorite web builder for free. Whether you'd like to try Showit or you're already convinced that it's the right web builder for you, visit treefrogmarketing.com/Showit to receive 1 free month of Showit. Again, visit treefrogmarketing.com/Showit to try Showit for free, and so that you can have a website that is easy to use but works as hard as you do.
Now, if you are listening to this episode and thinking, I don't have that much business coming in right now, so I don't need to set boundaries, or I can't afford to set boundaries and get all the bills paid. So, maybe you're just thinking like, I need to take all the work I can get. So yeah, can't set boundaries at the moment. I do want to encourage you to think otherwise, because now, before your business is consuming you, is the ideal time to set boundaries so that you can preemptively set yourself up for success.
Right. So regardless of where you are in your business, please determine and write your own boundaries down, kind of like figure out what's going to work for you, what's going to work best for your customers in terms of how you communicate, the hours that you work, whatever is important to you. I agree 100%. Start thinking about it now because they can be flexible once you realize that, oh, maybe this boundary needs to be added, or, maybe this one really isn't something that is important or whatever it is. Just know that, they're not set in stone, but you need to pay attention to them. You need to set them, and then you need to follow them.
Yes. And
Kelly
bonus
Rice,
points,
you need to follow those.
Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes we say what we need to hear too, but bonus points if you put this list somewhere like where you can see it on a regular basis, so you are reminded of them. They're staring you right in the face. And then also if you share this list with someone who can help hold you accountable, maybe that is a spouse, a close friend, another small business owner. But I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've told myself like, okay, I'm never going to do that again. That's a boundary I've set, but I didn't tell anybody about it. And so I just let it slide on by.
Right. Or it's that, incrementally you start breaking those boundaries, and then you look up and you're like, why am I so overwhelmed? Why? Well, it's because I started taking meetings on Fridays. I have customers emailing me or DMing me or doing all of these things. And I'm trying to manage all of these things that I shouldn't have to manage because I have a team behind me that can manage those. But because I didn't follow the rules that I set, I made my life a little bit harder. So
yes. Yeah.
Now,
sometimes you're just your own worst enemy.
Yeah. I know you're speaking directly to me. I hear you. Yes.
And my,
Yeah. But once you've determined your boundaries, you have to get your clients to respect them. And I know that might sound difficult, but think about it for a second. In reality, you probably aren't surprised. If you want to go to the dentist and you can't get your teeth cleaned at 9 p.m. on a Friday night because your dentist is a traditional dentist. I mean, I know they have the dentists that are open for third shift workers and all that, but your dentist, if he's not that or she's not that, you realize that you can't schedule a dentist appointment at 9 p.m. Or, and we all know this one, that you can't swing through a Chick-fil-A drive-through on a Sunday afternoon. This is because your dentist and Chick-fil-A they've clearly communicated their boundaries, which clearly are their hours, in this case. And because of this, you aren't shocked that you can't get your chicken nuggies on Sunday, or, you can't get your teeth cleaned on a Friday evening or whatever, because you respect those boundaries. I mean, Chick-fil-A is a big business, but how great is it that they are staying true to their values and saying, hey, we are not working on Sunday. So the key to getting your clients to honor your boundaries is to simply clearly communicate what your clients can expect from you. So when you proactively set expectations, you actually are setting your clients up for success. So they'll know what they can expect from you, and this will prevent them from ever assuming something or feeling disappointed while working with you. I mean, we've all had those conversations with clients, right? They're like, well, you didn't say, or I just assumed that. And then the customer guilt takes over and you're like, I didn't say that. I didn't outline it. I get, so I guess I'm going to do this thing because of whatever. So that's where the boundary setting is so important, of setting that clear expectation for your clients.
Exactly. Because when your clients know what to expect from you, they're going to respect your boundaries and they won't take issue with them, especially when you serve your customers well. So we've established the fact you need boundaries. You need to clearly communicate your boundaries to your clients. But the question now is, how do you communicate them? Now, just for the record, I'm going to make this very clear. The answer is not to hide this information in your contract. There is a very, very good chance your clients will miss this information, and they're going to feel blindsided when you say, no, as your contract states, ... So basically, hiding boundaries in your contract is only going to set you up for confusion and frustrated clients. I can't tell you how many times coaching students and people have said, just asking for advice. They're like, well, my contract does say that this conversation, it's not going to go well. So the best way to communicate your boundaries with your clients is to make mention of them both aloud and in writing. And you're going to probably need to do this again and again and again.
Right. And here's an example, for Tree Frog, we talked about that we're closed on Fridays. So we are not available to our clients most, Fridays through Sundays, right? But if we didn't communicate this boundary to our clients, they would have every right to be frustrated, if we just are like, oh, well, sorry, we don't work on Fridays. That's not how it is, right? Because we used to get a lot of clients, requesting something on a Thursday. And then if we're not in the office on a Friday, then they're not getting a response till Monday. They would be like really, really frustrated. Mm-hmm. But now they know if they send something in on a Thursday that they know that they're not probably going to get communicated with until Monday. So it works because we've communicated it. So, and we communicate it in a bunch of different ways. I think that we have it on our website and all of our online directories, right? Because go back and listen to whatever episodes they are about, local SEO, but making sure that your business directories are updated with all your current hours and all of that. So even when they Google you on a Friday to get your phone number potentially to call you, that it's going to say that you're closed on a Friday or whatever it is, right? So we inform our prospective clients during our discovery call. We let them know, hey, these are our business hours. We don't work in Fridays. These are some of the other things that you should expect from us and we can expect from you. We include it in our proposals. We remind our clients all the time during the onboarding process, both in the email series that we send, in our conversations again, right? Because especially when you're onboarding, there's a lot of information that we're telling our clients, but we don't ever want them to be surprised about that we're not going to respond to them on a Friday. And then we just mention it, right? Sometimes clients forget and they ask if we could schedule a meeting on a Friday. And we simply say something like, oh yeah, as a reminder, our office is closed on Fridays, but I could share my calendar with you so you could pick a day that works best for you. And then we send them, our Google or our Honeybook schedule. So that works really well for us because we've never got the, I can't believe that you're not open on Friday. It's the, oh yeah, I forgot. No, that's great. We'll pick a time on Monday or Tuesday or whatever it is. So by making sure that we've informed our clients for our 4-day work week, we're able to set them up for success and prevent the really awkward situations where we feel bad for saying, sorry, we're closed on Fridays. It was I'm not going to lie, it was a little awkward at first because a lot of us are people pleasers and we want our clients to be happy and we don't want to add an extra burden to them, but then we have to protect our mental health and our sanity and all of that, which is why that we've established boundaries. And we're going to do tremendous work, whether it's on a Friday or a Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And to give one more example, like Kelly mentioned before, we do require all of our clients to communicate with us through Basecamp. Mm-hmm. Again, we don't allow them to DM us, text us, or email members of the team directly because that is chaos. But to enforce this boundary, and this boundary does take work to enforce because, people they want what's convenient. They want to text us. They want to just do what they want to do. But we really have to enforce this boundary. And to do this, first of all, we include this information in proposals. We don't hide it in the contract. And the proposal that Kelly sends over, that's always very pretty, there's a section that explains that. And then also, usually Mary will go over this policy during onboarding. So she gives instructions and a whole spiel, and this is how Basecamp works. This is what you need to do if you have a request for a project or if you need help with something, go to Basecamp, put the message there. And then we also remind our clients of this policy whenever they break it. So that said, every time we make mention of this boundary, we're also sure to explain why this is the policy in a way that shows that this boundary, it's meant to set our clients up for success. It's not like we're not being selfish, but we'll tell them something like if a client texts us, we're going to tell them something like, so good to hear from you. As a reminder, we keep all communication in Basecamp. This helps ensure that our team and yours can access all communication and nothing gets lost, missed, or forgotten. Please send this message via Basecamp and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
Right. And reminding clients that we have policies in place to better serve them, they are so much more likely to respect that boundary moving forward and be like, oh, I'm going to send them an email. Oh, wait, no, I need to pop that into Basecamp, right? Because we want to protect them as well. Again, this one's specifically talking about communication. So our entire team gets notified and nothing falls through the cracks if they have a request or something like that.
Yes, 100%. So basically, just know that how you communicate your boundaries matters. So when you communicate your boundaries to your clients, try to just do so in a way that's kind and helps them see your boundary as a win for them.
Right. Right.
Okay, so now you might be hearing all of this and thinking, I'm sorry, but there is no way this is going to work with my clients or for my business. And I get that because I used to tell myself the same thing. In fact, when I was a photographer and I decided I wasn't taking weekend sessions anymore, I was so ever-loving nervous that people would be upset. However, I was shocked to find out, like, not a single client, like, really batted an eye. Like, not a single couple told me they were going to go work with a different wedding photographer because someone else was willing to shoot their engagement session on a Saturday or a Sunday. Instead, my couples regularly took off work for their engagement photos, and they made a date night or even a whole day out of the experience. Like, someone got massages and stuff before it was time to take their photos, and got their hair and makeup done. But then, more surprisingly, family suggested. I didn't take a ton of family sessions, but I had a few that were like tried and true and always happy to photograph their families. And when I communicated this boundary and gave them more photo options, I was really shocked by how many were willing to, on a weeknight, bring their kids out into a field at sunset and have their photos taken, or even to do sunrise sessions like before going to work, school, or daycare. Did not see that one coming, but it honestly worked out really well. Kids are much happier in the mornings. But to give you just one more example, I really like my chiropractor, and just the other day, he told me that he'll no longer be taking appointments on Wednesday afternoons starting next month, and I usually go on Wednesdays. And I, of course, wasn't frustrated by this. I mean, he made a boundary clear and explained that he wanted to be able to spend Wednesday afternoons with his kids. And because I appreciate his business and respect his decision, I simply scheduled my next appointment for Tuesday. No big deal. That's fine. So again, when you clearly communicate your boundaries, your ideal clients are going to honor them. I mean, I promise you that they will honor them.
Right. So if you're finishing this episode with a new list of reasonable boundaries, that is great. Like, I hope your brain is spinning. But be sure to get this information on your website, in your onboarding materials, and make it part of your workflow so that future clients can see this right away. And then also, if the boundaries will affect your current clients, be sure to inform them, via email or with a phone call or during your next meeting, whatever it is, because chances are you'll need to tell them more than once. So decide how you're going to kindly do that if you feel like it's going to change any of their workflows or the things that they have been doing. So, but this probably goes without saying. And if you currently have things on your calendar that break your boundaries, don't cancel on your clients. Like, complete those obligations that you said that you would do. And then just set these new boundaries moving forward. Kind of like, Victoria, your chiropractor did, right? He gave you a whole month's warning. So just be mindful when you do that. And then when you're listening to us next week, I hope your shoulders feel like so much lighter because you've taken time to think about how setting boundaries can help create a better experience for you and your customers and your team if you have one. Because I know our team really appreciates it when we stand up and just really adhere to our boundaries for the good of all, right? So now the work, it really does begin to ensure that you are going to not only think about your boundaries, but actually set them and then put those expectations in place. Because let's be real, we're business owners and we have these good ideas, but sometimes life takes over and the fires happen and all of that, and we don't put things into place. This is a priority. So make sure that you think about it, you do it, and then you act upon those boundaries.
Yep. Yes, it's a top priority. So whether you're a paper to-do list person or if you're using ClickUp or Asana or whatever else, go put this in there right now. But on that note, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Priority Pursuit podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, we hope you'll take a moment to share it with your small business friends and to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and that you'll join us next week for even more marketing, boundary, and priority-driven tactics you can use to build a life and a small business that you love.